Hey, how y'all doing, beautiful folks? This is Freedom Fighter, and we are ready to rock and roll. My good man Jester should be here soon. I don't see him on. Today is Saturday, June the 29th, 2024, and this is our very first Saturday Night Dialogues, where Jester and I will be breaking down Goldilocks' articles. And I say, even though this is not our first time breaking down the articles together on a Saturday night, this is the very first night for Saturday Night Dialogues. It's going to be history in the making. I promise you, years to come, the beginning, this call that Jester and I are going to be doing tonight is going to be in the history books because of where we're going with this event. And it will be something that's going to be unforgettable. We're so proud that all of you have been able to make it here tonight. And Jester, I see you here, my good man. You doing all right? If you can unmute. Folks, sometimes we got to let Jester know to unmute.
You got to give me like a 15-second warning and I'll be unmuted. I need like a little cue or something, you know what I mean?
I catch you off guard every time.
That's it. I'm like, damn, I'm on the other screen. Give me a break. I gotta find you now.
How you feeling today, my good man?
I am doing well.
Good. I know that I sent those. You and I have communicated throughout the day. Well, we communicate throughout the week anyway. But
that's
so
correct.
We're going to have a great call, man. And I'm going to start it off with a prayer, and we'll get rock and roll. I'm excited to do this first Saturday Night Dialogues with you, my good brother.
I am excited too. I went to church this afternoon and did confession. I'm all good now.
Oh man, so you're gonna be doing a lot of cursing tonight. You done did your confession already.
I will be trying to act right. That's it.
All right. We'll open up in prayer and get rocking and rolling. Father God, we thank you for allowing us to be here as a family, as a community. We thank you for this new journey for Saturday Night Dialogues with Jester and myself, breaking down the articles by Goldilocks. We thank you for all of the help and the assistance that you have provided us to get here to this point, to begin not only this call, but the new rooms that we've opened in a short period of time from our previous journey. We thank you for just life. We thank you for this opportunity that you have so blessed us with and bestowed upon us. And we know it's an inheritance. This is something that we have actually come to this earth plane to participate in because it is divine. It is a part of what we were called to do. It's a part of what we have chosen to do. We know this is a spiritual RV before it is a financial one. And we thank you for blessing us to be a part of it. We ask that if anyone is on the roads and the highways and the byways, traveling to and fro from wherever they're going or coming from, and they're listening to this call, we ask you to keep them safe, keep them from every hurt, harm, or danger. We ask that you, if there's anyone that has any sicknesses, illnesses, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, whatever it may be, we ask that you cover them and surround them with your heavenly angels. And we ask you to guide Jester and I and the guest on this call so that we bring a message to the community that is in your favor. And we pray in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, sir. Folks, just so that you know, this call is 1 hour and a half. So we're going to try our best to stick to that time frame. And so we ask that when it is time for Q&A, that you get to your questions right away, if you don't mind. If
we're taking a poll over on Jester's place. We're taking on a poll whether that actually happens. So just run over there and put your money down, okay?
I'm glad you mentioned that. As a matter, exactly. As a matter of fact, folks, if we finish on time at 10:30, Jester's Place will be open after. That's like the after party over there at Jester's
That's right.
Place. and feel free to come on over and join us. All right. We only have 3 articles tonight, so we should be able to get through in an hour and a half. And before we get started, I have some very brief announcements, room announcements. Number 1, in no particular order, I'm just up top of my head. Don't forget, every Thursday with myself and Anastasia, Higher Learning at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is where we show how this is a spiritual RV and financial RV collectively. This is where we raise our vibrations, go to another level of understanding about this event. Don't forget, every night, well, Monday through Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jester's Place. That's the party place, but also it's educational as well. Please feel free to join with Jester in Jester's Place at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Saturday. I don't want to forget that.
You're going to be there too from time to time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be there as well.
You guys might get a little after hours info. You never know what's going to happen over there.
There you go. And we're going to be changing our hours for Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room to a shorter time frame. We'll be closing earlier in the day, which will give me some energy to come on in Jester's Place at night. So what we wanted to do was really get Goldilocks QFS Dialogues kicked off sort of on autopilot, if you will, which required more of my time throughout the day. And so my energy wasn't really there to be Jester's Place as much. We're gonna change that. We're gonna get some more balance. And Jester's
it's a placeholder, because I just can't get into your place during the day. I just got too much crap going on.
Right. And you've been hounding me about balance and getting my rest, and so I can have.
Dude, I don't want you to get burned out again. Good grief, that was a nightmare.
Exactly. And I don't want to fail to mention, folks, when you get the opportunity, you must take a look at Goldilocks' new avatar that was created by our amazing admin for the room, Lady E. I'm sure you all saw Goldilocks gave Lady E a huge shout out. And no, please do not contact Lady E about an avatar. She's very creative. This was just a labor of love. She wanted she knew Goldilocks. I told her Goldilocks was changing the avatar. And so Lady E decided to provide a gift to Goldilocks. And if you look at the shades in the avatar that Lady E created, on one lens, it's gold bars. In the other lens is a shipping port, which this is why Goldilocks always says and has coined the phrase, watch the water, because it's about shipping ports with countries around the world when they move their products, goods, and services across the water on shipping ports. Their currency moves as well, and it begins to go up in value. Actually, we're going to touch on that tonight. So that's in the avatar of the shades and the lens that Lady E, and also Lady E, you did an amazing job with that avatar. It's much, in my opinion, much better than the avatar that Goldilocks had before, but that's just my opinion. And so we're honored. I have to give credit where credit is due. I have to pay homage when it's time to pay homage. We, in the Goldilocks QFS dialogue room, someone that does not even need to be mentioned or announced, introduced, which is Wiley Morgan, joined the room, and we are honored. Just so that you know, and I have to give credit where credit is due. In the old room where I was, I used to answer questions and help members as much as I could in the other room. And it was Wiley Morgan that reached out to me and put me on his team, asked me to be a part of his team. He actually trained me to how to communicate with folks in the chat room. I didn't have any experience or know how to communicate with people in the chat room. I was never really in chat rooms, but he gave me so much information, knowledge, and wisdom about this event and how to communicate in the chat rooms. I just wanted to really give him a shout out. He will not. He prefers not to participate in our calls. He will be in the background and he will be a part of really communicating in the chat room. And that's his preference. I have to do that and give him that shout out. And tonight we have two guests, two very, very special guests. Well, actually we have two special guests. Also previously in the other room, about a month ago, I'm sorry, not a month ago, about 3 months ago, in April, when the Prime Minister of Iraq, Sudani, visited the United States, he did an interview at the Atlantic Council. And one of our members, Funny Money Stalker, her daughter actually sent in the question to the Prime Minister, asking him a direct question about the dinar revaluation. And the Prime Minister answered. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this. So at the time, Funny Money Stalker, we had a Saturday night call, and she was one of our guests. And she she posted about this in the room first. And she said it was her daughter that asked the question. Funny Money Stalker came on to the Saturday night call, told us about her beautiful, amazing daughter who sent this question in. The daughter was so shocked that the Prime Minister of Iraq answered the question. So tonight, folks, we actually have Funny Money Stalker and her beautiful daughter, Glock Ness Monster, on the call. And we're going to ask them directly about their interaction with the Prime Minister of Iraq. Then we're going to have the amazing Zach, who's going to interact with me on one of the articles. It'll be very informative, very educational. If you don't remember, for those of you who may not be aware, Zach and his amazing, beautiful fiance Amber, in the other room, they did an amazing job creating a relationship with the branch manager / vice president of JP Morgan Chase. And they ended up getting a direct communication from the branch manager that they heard it from the higher ups that this is actually happening, the RV that is, and that for 20 years, the branch manager was hearing about the RV, thought it was a scam, wasn't possible, but he actually communicated to Zach and Amber that there's been some changes and it is happening. But they're not going to talk about that tonight. Zach is going to interact with me on an article. He does an amazing job interacting with me on articles. So he's going to do that later. But what we're going to do, we're going to jump right into introducing you to Funny Money Stalker and her daughter, Glock Ness Monster, who's 22 years old. She just got her master's, and she will be going for her PhD in January. So we're going to introduce them, talk about this interaction with the Prime Minister of Iraq, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling into the articles. And then Jester and myself will be opening for Q&A. All right. I saw Funny Money Stalker. If you can raise your hand, if you sure. Oh, there you go. I see you. And I'm not sure if I see your daughter. You there, Funny Money Stalker?
We're actually both here together. Hi, how are you?
Oh, that makes sense.
We are so excited to be a part of this maiden voyage of a conversation that we're going to have tonight, and to be a part of the group. And we're grateful for you and all the work that you do. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, so Funny Money. You know, I teased you on the other platform about your name. You told me about your name, you Funny Money Stalker. But now your daughter with her name, Glock Ness Monster. I don't know if I'm thinking of the Loch Ness. I don't think she carries a Glock. I don't know what's going on with this name, because she sounds kind of dangerous, but
well, yes, sir. I've been in Clay Target for about 8 years, so we fully support the Second Amendment here in this home.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. And it's funny because we have a member, Peculiar Ram, who's in her early 30s. We thought she was the youngest. She done came in and just trumped her, with being 20. You're 22, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow. And it's amazing. At 22, that's a testament, I'm sure, to your mom, but you're intelligent. And yes, and your mom, she sent me your beautiful graduation photo. For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to share it, but I think Glock Ness is a future Miss America too. She's not just smart,
thank you.
not just brains, but beauty, folks. And she's going and about to be wealthy because she's invested in Dinar at 22.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into asking you about your question to the Prime Minister of Iraq. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You got a lot of people on this call that want to hear about you.
Yes, sir. So I am 22. I recently graduated with my bachelor's this past December with geology and environmental sciences. I graduated from the University of Tennessee. Go Balls for any of my Tennesseans out there. I marched with the Pride of the Southland marching band. I was in color guard for about 8 years. So I've had several opportunities that my Heavenly Father has blessed me with.
Stop. Time out. So I can't help it. She's from the University of Tennessee. So guess where I graduated from?
Did you graduate from UT?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, but the same school.
Oh wow, that's awesome! A fellow ball.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I love the Pride of the Southland band too. I always like to get there early at the football games to watch that little guy run down there with his back held back and all that. The little drum major
yes,
guy.
sir, the drum major.
That's some funny stuff. I'm telling you, I love it.
Yes, sir. I was
Congratulations! Awesome.
Well,
yep.
Do you live around here? Do you live around there? Or where are you from?
We're from right around there. We're from the Nashville area.
Cool. All right. Well, good deal. I'm sorry I couldn't help it.
No,
how about those balls? The national championship baseball balls, by the way.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
Glock Ness.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
That's Jester, my sidekick, my partner in crime. And 14 years ago, Glock Ness, it was Jester. Wow, you were young. What I say? Oh my God, 13 years ago. It was,
she was like 6. Give me a break. Now I'm feeling old. I just want you to know.
I know. It was Jester that well, I won't get into that story. Go ahead. I'll tell you some other time. Go ahead.
That's right. We'll go into that some other time.
That's all right.
Let's get back to her story. It's more fun.
Yeah, let's hear your story. Go ahead.
Oh man, where was I? So I graduated with my bachelor's from the University of Tennessee with geology and environmental sciences. During that time I was also a substitute teacher for high school students. Very involved with church life. And then I am currently in the process of receiving my master's for environmental sciences and studies. And I will be graduating with my master's here in December. So 1 year turnaround with my master's. And then I will be hopefully moving forward with Vanderbilt or Tennessee Tech with my PhD in environmental studies as well, agriculture focused.
Wow, that is amazing. And I guess you're gonna take your wealth and open up a business and hire all of your classmates.
Absolutely.
Right. I love it.
Yeah, she's quite the entrepreneur already, and she's been that way for a long time. But we're super excited about what's to come in her near future, and So Vanderbilt has already offered her a lab position on their PhD program. But her ultimate goal would be to eventually in time, kind of as her retirement plan, is to kind of become a professor. And so
Beautiful.
we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah. Well, awesome. So I would love for you to tell us from your experience with asking this direct question that you sent in to the Prime Minister of Iraq when he visited the U.S. and just share with us how it all went down.
Absolutely. My mother and she had sent me the link for the, what was the site, the place that we had interviewed at?
I had sent her the link to watch the video on the World Economic Forum there.
And
the Atlantic Council?
Yes, sorry, the Atlantic Council, yes.
Okay.
And whenever I had joined the link, I was actually subbing that day for high school students. And I was watching it while I was kind of on break and kind of doing the job as well. And, and hey, it's the important stuff that counts. And I just saw the link that you were able to answer or send in a question for the Prime Minister and kind of go through that security check before it gets to the Prime Minister. And I had not told my mother that I had sent in a question. And I believe the way that I had phrased it is, with the new economic growth with Iraq continuing to exponentially grow, would that reflect in the price of dinar? Would that affect the exchange rate? And I remember I was getting in my friend's car going back home, and Mom had called me up and she was like, "Oh my gosh, he just said something about the dinar." And I was like, before I even asked her what he had said, I asked her what was the question. It's like 1 in a million chance here. A little 22-year-old girl is going to ask, directly to a prime minister of a country. And what a once in a lifetime opportunity right there. And sure enough, it was the same exact question that I had submitted. And so that was just a very eye-opening experience to me. And, it's something that I hope I get to brag on a little bit later on.
Yeah. I was totally shocked. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "Mom, that is my question. I submitted it." And I'm like, "No, it's not, really?" And she goes, "Look, I'm going to show you the link where they've chosen my question." And
I had actually screenshotted my question before I hit send, just in case the 1 out of a million chance that they did choose my question. So I'm glad I took that as evidence.
Yes.
I think everybody on this call is glad you did.
Yeah. But it was such a wow moment because it totally solidified any doubt that any of us who are in this investment, that it's going to happen. I mean, it's direct from the horse's mouth. So it was just...
For those that don't know what his answer was, can you please share with the folks his answer to your question?
He essentially said yes, that their value of their dinar is going to increase. So there is going to be a change in the rate for the dinar. And he was very clear about it. So, and he did not beat around the bush or anything like that. But Emma's actually going to read what his statement was. She's got it directly from him.
Okay. So it was Atlantic Council. The title of the program was Iraq Prime Minister on Building a Stronger Relationship with the United States live broadcast. This was April 19th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The question that was directly asked to the Prime Minister was, is the government thinking about reevaluating and readjusting the value of dinar due to the current circumstances in the market, or do you see it to stay the same? Prime Minister al-Sudani responded with, this policy is actually dictated by the central bank. The government abides by the decision of the central bank. Iraq is in the best status we could be in. We have actually had an assessment which has given much trust to higher global parties. So we started reforms when it comes to the banking sector. We have spoken about this before, but this is actually going to raise the level of the value of Iraqi dinar. There is a consistent policy that the central bank of Iraq is using when it comes to investments and how they invest the money for our own reserves here in Iraq. Close quote.
Boom, boom, boom. For those
Yes.
that know, we like to drop booms.
Yes, we do. Yes. Major boom right there.
And that is directly from the horse's mouth himself.
Yeah.
And
I'll be honest with you, whenever you actually had replied at one point, like a couple of days ago from Wiley, who said that there's most people in this investment, they do not even know about that. They've not heard that. Yes. And I was just like, how can you not hear that? Like, that is huge news, yes. You know? And it just amazes me, but it is directly from the horse's mouth. I mean, there's no doubt. For anyone who had doubt, like, no.
Exactly. No. Exactly. And it's amazing. We're so happy and proud of both of you, especially Funny Money Stalker, for raising this princess to be so intelligent.
Well, thank you.
I'm very grateful for her as well. She's been an amazing mother, and all of my intelligence comes from her and my father directly. So,
oh well, we're grateful to have her. She's a good kid. So, yes. We do have another daughter who is 14 months younger, and she too is invested in this. She's just in
vet school.
Yeah, she's in vet school, and so
wow.
She is
she's working hard. So
yes.
I feed her the information as it comes out.
Yes. Yeah. She doesn't get to follow the way that we do, but we do have two very bright young ladies, and you know, we want them to be highly educated, not just in the books, but in life and investments alone. And I think that's important for parents these days, is to make their kids aware of what's to come in the future. There are so many changes that are happening in our banking system and just in our financial system alone. And these kids need to be aware of it. And so.
Absolutely.
I think one thing as a family as well, whenever we had discussed this investment beforehand, we really did sit down as a family and counsel together and say, we were asking each other what we wanted to do. Is this going to grow generational wealth? Is this what we are looking for as an investment? Whenever we put the numbers together, it was just flat out, absolutely. After lots of prayer, we were like, it is absolutely a no-brainer. So we've kind of been on this roller coaster for, I guess, a year or two now. And
yeah, a couple years now. We've been invested thanks to a friend of ours who happened to mention it. And
awesome.
And I'll tell you something else too, Freedom Fighter, is that we've asked our daughters, you know, are your friends aware of what's happening with the financial system? And they're like, oh, I think my parents may have mentioned something, or some of them are like, absolutely not. And you know, they're just, I don't think that they're quite grasping the changes that are taking place. Like, they are literally living in a time when I mean, this is what's happening is nonetheless of a miracle, to be honest with you, when it comes to the financial system, for it to change as much as what it is. And I really do believe that there is the hand of God that's involved in this to make all this happen and transition the way that it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are definitely part of the 1%. This is a very small amount of people that is aware of what's going on. And yeah, Wiley was so right that it was a missed opportunity. Almost 90% of people just had no clue, you know, what's going on. But yeah, we appreciate you guys so much for coming on. And Jester, I believe you had something that you wanted to follow up with this, I believe, with these young ladies.
No, I just wanted to give them a big shout out because they're from the University of
Yeah,
Oh, I tell you, Jester, do you live in Tennessee? Or are you close
I live
by?
in Maryville.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well,
I've been out there several times.
yes. And I will tell you, the girls live in the West Knoxville area. They're close to Farragut, so you probably know where they reside.
I was at St. John Newman's this afternoon. That's probably close to where you're at.
Yes,
sir.
Yes. So that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, if you've watched any of the games lately, you've probably seen Blackness on TV, because she's been on TV several times, and you would probably be extremely impressed with some of the people that she has pictures with. How's that?
Cool. Good deal.
Well, one of those people just so happened to be the Prime Minister of Iraq. So I mean,
that's the truth. Right.
All right, ladies. We appreciate you. We're gonna get rocking and rolling and get this party started with these articles by the amazing Goldilocks, and hang on to your seatbelts. Y'all ready?
All right, we're excited. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. I'm gonna drop the first article right in the room. Boom, boom. Here we go. All right, and it should be pretty quick that we go through these. We're gonna get to the first article is by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. The second will be on Vietnam, and the third will be on the Bank of International Settlements in Enbridge. All right, and then we're going to have Zach come on, and we're going to have a little interaction between he and I, and reading that article. We're going to open up for Q&A, and so in between the articles, Jester and myself will be breaking them down and work together on them. All right, let's rock and roll. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency is requesting comments on their proposed revisions to its recovery planning guidelines. All right, this is the first article by Goldilocks, folks. A banking recovery plan is a document that outlines the process of recovery banks will undergo after a time of stress on the banking system. It will be a set of guidelines that will help them restore vital functions of banking operations. I'm going to pause for a moment. For those of you who probably were listening during the week, Goldilocks shared another article either yesterday or the day before about something very similar when it comes to the banking systems and the events. All right, so they sort of tie in together with this article because we talked about stress tests. I called it a shock to the system, which is currently happening as we speak. Goldilocks continues. Here are the guidelines that banks are to follow. 1, expand recovery planning guidelines to apply to banks with at least $100 billion in assets. Now, I would imagine if most of you are going to be exchanging at larger banks, such as your JP Morgans, such as your Wells Fargo's, your Fifth Third, so forth and so on, they don't have any problem meeting this threshold. All right. And number 2, incorporate a testing standard for recovery plans. The third point that Goldilocks is sharing: clarify the role of non-financial risk, including operational and strategic risk, in recovery planning. All right. Public comments are expected 30 days after publication to go into the Federal Register. It is good. Goldilocks says it's good to see the OCC, which is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. It is good to see the OCC working on the final touches of a recovery plan for the new banking system. It gives us an indication that this is a planned event with surprises and expectations that we will see the other side. So again, Goldilocks shared another article just recently about something very similar about the banking system with covering risk, all right, which we called also a shock to the system. All right. If you want to click on the link, you can, but if not, on your you can go on your own time and check it out. We won't go over it tonight, but it's very straightforward. When you think of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and they're testing the banking system for capital and expanding their guidelines, all right, moving forward. So, Jester, did you have anything you want to add to this before we go to Vietnam?
Give me a cue here. I'm gonna like give you like a secret word, and then when I hear it, I'm like going to go scrambling for my mic. Okay. No, this is a good article. Quite frankly, I mean, here this ties in with something I'm going to talk about after a while, anyway. So maybe leave it go at what you've done, because this is really good stuff, and it's. I think I can help tie this together even further in a minute to the UST. We'll see how it goes, right?
Right. Okay. That'll work.
I like the whole we're getting now. Okay. Let me just say this. There's something going on here, and we're getting ready to do something. Okay. You guys know how I feel about all these banks. You guys know how I feel about the fact that, quite frankly, the Fed can't do squat about gold-backed currency. You know how I feel about these banks are getting ready to do something, and it isn't going to be doing it with the Fed. Okay. There's a clue for you about what I'm going to talk about in a minute. So there you go.
Cool. Makes sense. What I wanted to do is I just shared in the room. This is totally unplanned. But I just dropped the article in the room that connects what Goldilocks just shared by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. This is the article I was referring to that I dropped into the room that Goldilocks shared from the CFTC, which is the Commodities Future Trade Commission. I'm going to read this real quick because, like I said, this was not planned. This is from the Commodities Future Trade Commission, folks, which is a global governing body as it pertains to commodities, which under the umbrella of the CFTC are foreign exchanges as well. But the CFTC, Commodities Future Trade Commission, is ultimately governed by the U.S. Treasury, of which the Jester just touched on. All right, real quick. And remember, this article that we just shared by Goldilocks from the OCC talks about an event. All right, and it talks about expanding recovery planning and guidelines to apply to banks. Now, speaking of event, this article provided by Goldilocks day before yesterday, and it says an event contract. So we're talking about another type of event, a technical event. An event contract is a legal document that formalizes agreements between parties involved in an event and outlines expectations, responsibilities, and potential outcomes. Event contracts do include foreign currency future markets. Event contracts allows investors to trade their opinions on yes or no questions, i.e. regarding an asset trading above or below a certain price. Now, Goldilocks continues. Notice the new additions. This is what Goldilocks is referring to below. Notice the new additions below to the events contracts that list electronic contracts. These new additions have required our current amendments. Okay, so you look down, stock indexes, energy, metals, foreign currencies, and here are the electronic contracts for the electronic stock and futures market. E-mini. E stands for electronic, so that's the E S&P. The E or electronic Dow Jones, the E electronic NASDAQ, E electronic Russell. So these, if you go down to gold and silver, the CFTC extends the public comment period for proposed amendments on event contracts rules to August the 8th, 2024. If you combine with this from the CFTC that Goldilocks is sharing about electronic contracts, about the event contracts, which include electronic contracts, electronic stocks, and you combine that with the previous article by the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, you can sort of look and see that these are pieces to a broader puzzle that's being put together. All right. So I wanted to share that. I kind of went back, did something I wasn't really planning on doing and sharing that with you all. But I hope you understand when you connect those dots. All right. And then if you want to click on the link with the CFTC, you can as well on your own time. Jester, did you want to add something? Oh, I forgot to give you.
You know me, I'm always thinking around when you're talking, so it is what it is. The CME group in the New York Mex rule book, chapter 23, this is some interesting stuff right here. Event contracts are cash settled European style, premium style options on futures contracts that expire on specific dates as determined by the exchange. This is some cool stuff. It indicates that they're going to be doing smart trading, I guess you could call it, I suppose. This is some freaky stuff because, quite frankly, it indicates that somebody like you or me, I suppose, could input a price that we like to buy something at and sell something at previous to that ever happening.
Mm-hmm.
Not like trading that's going on now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right now, you have to wait till it gets where you're going or where you like it to go before you can make a decision to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to wait for it to go somewhere else, hopefully the right direction, and before you do something about it, right?
Exactly.
This thing here indicates that that's going to be something that you can do on the fly automatically by inputting these contracts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, and this shows the connectivity of instant transactions and instant settlement, and so this is all dots connecting, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it's got and it specifically says that about event contract gives the right to receive a fixed settlement value per contract on the settlement date. So there you go.
Yep. Awesome.
Interesting stuff.
Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna jump into. Did you have anything you wanted to add further, or you're good?
I'm good.
You're good?
It's interesting thing. I'm just kind of trying to grab a hold of the reality of the whole thing. It's going to take a minute because I think if this is the way things are going to go in the future, you don't have to sit there and trade like we do now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All those scenarios that you mentioned a minute ago with the article will be tradable without sitting there watching the freaking market. You said, okay, well, if it goes this way, you'll do this, or if it reaches this certain point, it'll do that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it's, quite frankly, that's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right, beautiful folks. We're going to jump into Vietnam. All right. It should be in the room. Let me double check and make sure that it is. Okay, there it is. All right. Goldilocks shared this article as well just yesterday on Vietnam. Vietnam minimum wage announcement. Vietnam's new minimum wage effective from June the 1st, 2024. Goldilocks says, yes, minimum wage is part of a market economy. And remember, for those of you who may not be aware, but at the end of next month, the United States is predicted that they will upgrade Vietnam's economy to what's called a market economy. We've shared in the room a few days ago where actually on September the 11th last year, Vietnam and the United States signed a strategic partnership agreement for trade. Vladimir Putin of Russia just recently did the same thing, signed a strategic partnership with Vietnam. It was last week, as a matter of fact. Goldilocks has shared several articles over the last week or so about the strategic partnership agreement with Russia and Vietnam. Also, Goldilocks has shared recently about Vietnam and gold and also providing loans to their citizens. All right. Also, Goldilocks has shared over the last week or so in regards to Vietnam actually going cashless, where Vietnam announced that they are a cashless society, where 79% of the retail establishments in Vietnam and industry, 79% is cashless. So this is not your granddaddy's old Vietnam. This is a new Vietnam. All right. So I'm going to continue. Yes, minimum wage is part of a market economy. It is the price floor of which government policies set a legal minimum price that can be legally set for goods and services, labor, or financial capital. Financial capital are assets businesses require to deliver goods and services, money, credit, and other means of financing that corporations use to generate revenue. Goldilocks continues. Minimum wage is the lowest price that can be paid for labor. It is based on the idea that a full-time worker should be able to afford a basic standard of living. Price pressures are coming for the Vietnamese dong. Folks, when Goldilocks says price pressures, this is, you can transpose the words pressure on price. This is where, and this is pressure not going down, but pressure pushing up. When there's price pressures on the price of an asset, the expectation is that it will go up. And in this case, the expectation is there. We have to watch and pay attention. But Goldilocks says price pressures are coming for the Vietnamese dong. Price pressures create changes. Be ready. So with Vietnam moving into a market economy at the end of next month, we'll have to watch based on supply and demand of how things transpire in the global markets once their economy is upgraded. This also is very important about Vietnam, and they actually increased their minimum wage almost 6.5% from last year and the year before. So when you have an increase in minimum wage, you have an increase in and also the standard of living for a country. So with that increase comes an increase in cost, an increase in value of assets. It's like the saying goes, all tides raise all ships. This is a raising of the tide in Vietnam. Okay. And if you want to click on the link when you get a chance on your own time, you can go ahead and click on it. We're not going to go through and read that one, the link tonight, but please feel free to take some time and go through it. And it explains to you, just like the title says, Vietnam's new minimum wage effective. That's Monday, July 1st. Okay. Jester, you ready? Okay. Jester, you ready? I gave you a little cue.
Yeah, you are. All right, so here's this is interesting stuff because, quite frankly, I mean, they're making a lot of money. This is crazy. So in reality, the current, which is, I guess, started in 2022, and now they changed 6% up, and now 2024, the number is like 4 million VND. Well, almost 5 actually. And these guys making 196. I don't know what $196 for what time frame, because that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say what time the time frame is, which is okay. I don't know what to do with that, because $196 for what? That might, if that's for a day, it's still pretty good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love to get that breakdown somehow. I was kind of trying to poke around and figure it out, and I couldn't do it yet. Oh. This article doesn't have that in there, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll get there for you. But
okay, cool.
But the whole new rate is 5 million VND per something, which is $6.
I love it. That's your engineer hat you're putting on right now. Dissect.
No, I can't help it.
I love it. All right. All right. Did you want to add anything else before we go
No,
to the
no,
next?
I think it's good they're raising their minimum wage. That just indicates they're going the right direction. You know that. I mean, everything increases, everything's going the right direction, right?
Yep.
We
Yep.
talked about that earlier. You know,
Yes, sir.
GDP goes up, wages go up, everything goes up.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Thanks for that reminder. That's a reminder, brother, because also Goldilocks shared. I know I'm saying a lot Goldilocks shared about Vietnam, but Goldilocks did share from the World Bank a week ago where it showed where the Vietnam's GDP from 1991 to 2021, Vietnam's GDP increased 3,907%. 3,907%. Only second behind China, whose GDP increased from the same time frame, was 4,300 and some odd percent. 4,000, let's say 4,300%, and then China, and then Vietnam 3,900%. And just to put it into perspective, folks, between 1999 and 2021, the GDP for the United States increased only 297%. Big difference in comparison. So I'm glad you mentioned that GDP, Jester. You just gave me that good reminder.
That was a good conversation.
All right. Now we're going to jump into, and this is where when Goldilocks says watch the water, like on Goldilocks' new avatar where you have the shipping port. This is from Project Enbridge. Actually, the beginning of, and just so I don't forget, so the minimum wage is July 1st for Vietnam. I hope I didn't say June 1st, July 1st. Project Enbridge by the BIS, which stands for the Bank of International Settlements. About a month ago, Goldilocks shared an article about Enbridge from the BIS, and Goldilocks has been actually preparing us and showing us about Project Enbridge for almost 2 years when they first began their pilot program. The BIS, Bank of International Settlements. The name Bank of International Settlements is very telling because you can think of all the banks internationally, all around the world. Bank of International Settlements, think of all of the central banks around the world reporting to their daddy. Their daddy. I look at the Bank of International Settlements as the daddy of all central banks. You can also think of the World Bank, but the Bank of International Settlements. So ultimately, there's a dotted line from the central banks. Let's say this the Federal Reserve here in the U.S. Let's say the Central Bank of Iraq. Let's say the State Bank of Vietnam, which is their central bank. Let's say the United Arab Emirates and their central bank. All central banks ultimately roll up to the Bank of International Settlements, every country's central bank. And just remember this, our currencies, whatever currency you hold, that specific currency is actually controlled and actually comes from the central bank of that country. So the United States dollar, Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, Federal Reserve. The Vietnamese dong, the central bank is the State Bank of Vietnam. The Iraqi Dinar, it's controlled by the Central Bank of Iraq. So when you think of Project Enbridge that we're going to discuss, it's connected to all the central banks, and you're going to see when Zach and I, we're going to go through this a little bit together, and you're going to connect some dots. I'm going to go ahead and read. Project Enbridge. Think of a bridge. And a lot of the terms that you hear and you see, it actually correlates with actually what is happening. So Project Enbridge, think of a bridge, does not enable the settlement of the dollar for other countries other than the USA. This is where we are going to see the acceleration of the de-dollarization process, Goldilocks says. It will level the playing field for all currencies around the world to operate their own digital payments with their own local currencies. I'm going to read that again. We're talking about Project Enbridge. It will level the playing field for all currencies around the world to operate their own digital payments with their own local currency. All right, currencies. This is where demand will increase for all the global currencies around the world, and it will begin the process of changing values incrementally in many of the currencies that we hold. I'm going to read that again as well. And look at that shipping port in the video. You don't have to click on the YouTube video. We're going to go to right below this. But this is where Goldilocks explains, watch the water, because this is where currencies, ladies and gentlemen, the value of currencies begin to increase when the demand for that currency is increased throughout the world. Again, goods and services moved throughout the world on the ports, on the water. Okay? Goldilocks says this is where demand will increase for all the global currencies around the world, and it will begin the process of changing values incrementally in many of the currencies that we hold. For example, we talked about Vietnam, the strategic partnership agreement that they have with the U.S., with Russia, with many other countries around the world. Part of those agreements are trade for goods and services that Vietnam will be providing to countries around the world. The United States is actually Vietnam's number one trading partner, second to Russia. Iraq is a major trading partner of Vietnam as well. But again, this is where Goldilocks is explaining, watch the water, is where the currencies of these countries, when there is goods and services, whether it's, for example, let's say the United States has an agreement with Vietnam. Okay, well, it may be in the dong. The settlement of that trade is in dong. That increases, so then another country has an agreement. Vietnam does trade with them, and another country. As Vietnam becomes a market economy at the end of next month, we will begin again to watch after that happens to see as the markets move and the demand should increase for the dong throughout the world. We will watch. Okay? Watch the water. The next article below is from the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. All right? It continues on Project Enbridge. Project Enbridge can facilitate local currency payments. This is the currencies that many of us hold. These are the local currencies for those countries. Project Enbridge can facilitate local currency payments, but it requires policy agreements. The project, meaning Project Enbridge, is a multi-central bank digital currency. And we're speaking of wholesale, where our privacy is not of a concern. This is bank-to-bank transactions. Project Enbridge. The project is a multi-central bank digital currency, a CBDC. We're speaking of wholesale. Remember, our currencies are governed by the central bank of that country for the currency we hold. Okay? So the project is a multi-central bank digital currency platform that uses distributed ledger technology, DLT, to enable instant, and this is we're talking about speed, instant cross-border payments and settlements. Settlements, ladies and gentlemen, is the settlement of a transaction. If someone goes into a bank and they make a deposit, that transaction, once it's completed, is settled. That's a settlement. A withdrawal, once it's completed, receipts are received, that's a settlement. An exchange, foreign currency exchange. Hello,
beautiful
That's
folks.
a
This is
settlement.
Freedom Fighter.
You're
Today
exchanging
is
one currency
Friday,
for another
July the
currency,
19th,
and once it's solidified as
2024.
completed,
When Goldilocks
that's a
says watch the
settlement.
water,
So I'm gonna read this again.
we must
I want you to
understand and
have the
know what that
context.
means, and that's
Project
large in
Enbridge. The
part
project is a
in
multi-central
regards to
bank
shipping
digital
ports
currency
with
platform
countries
that uses
who do trade amongst each
distributed
other
ledger
on the
technology
water,
to enable
country to
instant
country,
instant
around the globe
cross-border payments and
through
settlements.
shipping ports.
The platform allows
And
for
so
direct bilateral
a country's currency,
connectivity
based on
between
supply
the
and
payers,
demand,
so that's one side of the
is
transaction, and
highly
the payees,
utilized
the other side of the transaction, their
in
local
shipping
banks,
ports around the
which can
world.
reduce the number
Some
of
of
steps
70,
required
almost
for
80%
cross-border payments.
of a country's
Folks,
revenue comes
before
from
the interconnectivity
imports
of
and
the QFS, the
exports,
old
which is shipping on the
manipulated
water, country to country.
pre-digital
So in
banking
Iraq,
system,
particularly,
the
their shipping ports
settlement
is very key,
transactions
associated with
were lengthy,
the value
long.
of the dinar.
For example,
The first article
in
by
fact,
Goldilocks
under the old
is
SWIFT
going to talk
system,
about something
it
that
could have
Iraq is
taken 3
doing,
to 5
something
days
else that Iraq
for
is
a
doing
transaction to
in regards
complete,
to their
or transaction
shipping
to
ports.
settle. Now
Goldilocks
we're entering
recently
into
provided an
the
article
new digital economy
about the
where
digitizing
these
of
payments,
Iraq's
these settlements
ports with
are
the
instant. That
ICE
cuts
cutter
down
system called Automated
on
System
costs for the
for
bank,
Customs
but
Data.
it provides
Here we have
more liquidity
an
for the
announcement
bank
from
as well.
Iraq in regards to
It provides better services
their
for you and I as
maritime fleet
consumers
on their shipping ports.
as well.
We're going to jump right
So
into
this
it.
is all
Announcement:
interconnected,
Iraq
okay?
to
So
expand
you do
national
cross
maritime
border.
fleet.
So I don't
So
want
here they
to
are, expanding
miss this opportunity
their
to
shipments
explain
on their ports.
cross-border as well. A
Their plans are to
cross-border
add 8
payment
more ships
is
between
a
now and
transaction
early next year.
between one
These
country
commercial
and
vessels
another
will go a
country in
long
their
way
currency.
towards
So
dem-
I will
for,
use
towards
an example.
demand for what Iraq can
You go
supply.
into
So
exchange
think of the
your
dinar.
dinar
Commercial vessels can carry
for
a variety of cargo, including
USD.
general cargo, which
That is
are
technically a
packaged items
cross-border
like food,
transaction.
furniture, machinery, and clothing. Think
Iraq is not in the United States.
that
It's
these are
across
supplies
the
being
other side of
shipped
the world,
all over the
many
globe.
borders. Several borders
Containerized
to get to
cargo,
Iraq
which can
in the United
include
States.
items shipped in
If someone
truck-sized
is in
containers.
Vietnam and they
I
want to
remember
exchange
a few
their
weeks ago an
dinar
article Goldilocks provided
for
that I
dinar,
saw regarding
that's a
the new
cross-border
digital
transaction.
system, the ICE cutter,
If
Automated
I
System for
or
Customs Data.
you here in the United
As a
States,
result, they have
well,
almost 2 to
we
3,000
cash
additional
your
containers
or
a
deposit,
day
or even
that
cash your
they can track.
your bank
So
check,
just
your
think,
check from your
with these
employer.
supplies
Well, I know
in
it's
these
direct
containers,
deposit now, but I'm just
such
using an
as
example. USD
wheel
to
cargo,
USD is
cars,
not a
trailers,
cross-border payment. It's
semi-trailer
not a
trucks,
cross-border transaction
railroad cars,
because
and
it's
buses,
within the borders of
oversized
our
cargo,
United
vehicles,
States.
and heavy
It's
equipment,
our central bank currency
defined
with our
products,
central bank
petroleum,
currency. So when you see
diesel,
cross-border
asphalt, jet
payments,
fuel, tar,
that is
and
in
lubricating
reference
oil,
to one currency
non-petroleum
for
bulk
another currency.
products like palm oil,
What now we're talking
military
about as it's
cargo,
referencing
specialized ships like LMSR
cross-border
can transport
payments
military cargo.
and settlements.
Think of all of
So
these
the article that Goldilocks has shared
containers,
by Project
and think of
Enbridge
all of
with the Bank
these
of International Settlements,
shipments
there was
around the world
actually some
on the
tests
water,
that were done
which this is
of
regarding
testing
Iraq's
of these
maritime
instant
fleet
settlements,
that they're
instant
increasing.
payments.
Goldilocks
With
continues.
central
This
banks,
increase in
different
demand for
central banks,
Iraq's offering will begin to put
central
price
banks from
pressures
throughout the world.
on
Okay?
their currency.
Now,
So this means this puts pressure on
let's
the
do
value
this.
of the
I'm
dinar.
gonna click
Why?
on the link, and I would
Because with
like
all
for
of
you
these
all to follow
items,
me
certain products
here,
that are
and
shipped
then
throughout the world, cars,
Zach,
trailers,
I
semi-trucks,
think I need to
railroad
get you-
cars, furniture,
Zach.
machinery,
If you can raise your hand,
gas,
I can unmute
diesel,
you. I'm going to mute
asphalt,
you here
so forth and
very
so
shortly.
on,
There you go. I see you,
shipped
good man.
around the world. The increase
All right, you can unmute my good man.
increases the value of the dinar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Goldilocks
How you feel?
continues. The ships
how's
are
it
not
going,
small
young man?
in
How's it
any
going
way,
this evening?
and they can carry a
Good,
lot
good.
of goods
Thank
and
you, thank you.
offerings
Is
that
Amber
will
there with
bring
you?
more
I'm
prosperity
right here.
to Iraq.
How you doing, beautiful? You
Watch
all right?
the water.
I'm
Folks,
getting better
bringing
day by
prosperity
day.
to Iraq in
Still
large
got
in
you in our
part
prayers.
is
you gonna
why?
be all right.
Did you
Thank
know
you.
that as of
Thank you.
January of
Yes,
this
yes,
year,
ma'am.
all
So, Zach, what I'm
imports,
gonna
by
do,
law, all
I'm gonna
imports
read the
coming
first
into Iraq
several parts
must be
of
settled
this
in Iraqi dinar.
article
So
that
here we have
Goldilocks has
Iraq
provided by
increasing
Project Enbridge, and you're going to start
their
I think I sent
maritime
you the
fleet,
screenshot where you're going to
which
start,
will
right?
also play a large part in increasing the
Yes,
value
perfect.
of the dinar.
That platform.
We're going
Okay,
to go right
cool,
to
cool,
the next
cool.
article
All
by
right,
Goldilocks.
folks. Me,
Bank
I mean,
supervision
I gotta tell you
policy
guys a little backstory.
announcement. Bank supervision
When
policy
several
monitors
weeks ago,
risk,
when
formulates
when
policies
I
and procedures
made a
for
transition
the
from
effective
another room,
supervision and examination of national banks and
it
federal
was
savings
actually maybe the
associations,
day after or
provides
2
accounting
days
policy
after,
guidance, and promotes community
myself,
development
Zach,
activities.
and Amber
The
got
BSP, or the Bank
I don't know
Supervision
how we ended up
Policy,
having like a
is
2-hour
responsible for policies related
impromptu
to the
call with
Forex
just
market,
us. Was that
along
right,
with
Zach?
other sectors of the marketplace.
Oh my God.
They formulate
I was
compliance
tied
and
up.
guidelines among
Right, yeah.
other
And we
various
went over some
components
articles that
in the
him and
credit
Amber
risk
was-
of money
was,
and
wanted
dissemination.
to go over. And,
Currently,
he and I
BSP
were
is issuing
interacting on
new
the article,
Forex,
and so
which are
we're gonna do
foreign
that tonight,
currency
Zach,
exchange
if you don't mind.
guidelines.
That'll be kind of fun.
The
It'll be
BSP
very
is
educational
telling
for
reporting
members.
agencies
So
to
I'm
have
gonna
their
start,
systems and processes ready
where it starts.
before
Project
December
Enbridge
31st,
continues. This came
2024.
out on June the 5th.
This
Goldilocks
does not
provided
mean
this
we
article,
cannot
dropped
go
on
in
June
for
5th.
currency
We're
exchanges before
circling
this
back
time.
because
It
Goldilocks
just means that
shared it again
agencies
today
have to be ready
because
to
we need
report it
re-emphasize
by the
this.
end of this year
Project Enbridge
under the
continues its
OCC
development
guidelines.
and has reached
What are the OCC
minimum
guidelines?
value product
The Office
stage,
of the
MVP,
Comptroller of the Currency.
while broadening
So here we
its
have
international reach.
new guidelines
The
as it
project
relates
aims
to
to
foreign
explore
currency exchange
a
from the bank
multi-central
supervision
bank digital
policy,
currency
which monitors
platform shared
risk
among
within banks
participating
and
central
it formulates
banks. Remember,
procedures
multiple central banks
to affect
and
federal
commercial
savings
banks built on
associations,
distributed ledger technology
which
to
are our
enable
banks,
instant cross-border
and provides
payments.
accounting policy and
This is
guidelines
very important.
to
This
promote
next paragraph.
community
Project
development
Enbridge is the
outreach.
result,
So, and
past tense, result
the
of
BSP,
extensive
which is the
collaboration
bank
starting
supervision
in
policy,
2021
is responsible for
between
policies related
the BIS,
to
the Bank of
the
International
foreign
Settlement
exchange
Innovation Hub,
market.
the Bank of
So
Thailand,
here we have
Central Bank of
the
United
guidelines
Arab
for the
Emirates,
Office of the
BRICS.
Comptroller of the
Think
Currency.
Think also, when
You
you think
can
of the United Arab Emirates,
click on the
UAE,
second link
also
that Goldilocks is
the
sharing,
United
which is
Arab
directly
Emirates, the
to
United States
Office of the
Department
Comptroller of the-
Treasury
of the
several
Currency,
months ago, I believe it was
connected
in
to the U.S.
February,
Treasury.
met with the
These
Central
are
Bank of Iraq
two
in Abu
very
Dhabi.
Impactful
signed a
articles if you
contract,
understand and see
several
the
contracts.
importance
One
of
was in regard
how they
to
relate to the
allowing
investment. One
Iraq
with the
to
Forex
deposit
market and the
the
guidelines,
UAE,
and two,
United Arab
with
Emirates
Iraq
currency, which
increasing
is the dirham, the UAE
their shipments
dirham.
and their
They
fleet
signed a
in order
contract
to
to
grow
allow the
the revenue for
UAE's
Iraq
currency
throughout the
to be
world.
deposited in
The
several
Iraqi
banks.
dinar
In fact,
will be
Zach, I didn't prepare you for this, but I'm gonna ask this
the
question because I know you
currency
know. Don't make me look like a fool.
of use
What
for
bank?
settlement
What
for
bank
all imports
signed
coming
a
into
contract by
Iraq.
the United States
Just
Treasury to
imagine,
deposit
based on
these-
supply and
the
demand,
UAE dirham
the
into
value
Iraqi
that
banks?
that would bring to Iraq.
Do you remember?
Therein lies also
The bank
where
that
it
you
will
and
affect us as
Amber
well.
went to.
We love you. We appreciate you. Everyone have a
Yes.
great
It
and
was-
blessed
yes.
weekend.
It was
Be
Chase
safe, be
that
kind, be
deposited
loving.
the UAE dirham
Show
into
someone some
the Iraqi
unconditional
banks. I'm
love.
just making a reference to
Be
that
well.
because
Ciao.
everything, ladies and gentlemen, is connected to everything. All right. So the UAE, the Digital Currency Institute of the People's Bank of China, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Saudi Central Bank, BRICS, is joining Enbridge as a full participant. There are also now more than 26 observing members, meaning 26 other central banks. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh my God, if the central bank that I have currency for, if they're not on this list, does this not mean? No, that doesn't mean that. Because we have cross-border payments and instant payment settlement systems such as the UPI, Universal Payment Interface. There's multiple payment systems that interconnect and link different central banks with other central banks. This is a big puzzle, a huge global puzzle. All of these central banks are connected in some way, shape, or form. These specific banks are just the ones who participated, but there are other banks who didn't participate in this, but they're still connected to it by their payment systems. Okay, I'll continue. The project aims to tackle some of the key inefficiencies in cross-border payments. So think, this is going back to 2021. There were some inefficiencies. So think of, they had to get some bugs out. They had to make some corrections. They had to do some upgrades to make this get to a point to where it works. The project aims to tackle some of the key inefficiencies in cross-border payments, including high cost, low speed, and operational complexities. All right. And just think also, when it comes to Ripple and XRP, it actually bridges a gap between a lot of these inefficiencies. But we're going to find out shortly, a lot of things have been taken care of. It also addresses financial inclusion concerns, particularly in jurisdictions where correspondent banking, which connects countries to the global financial system, think all of the countries to the global financial system, it has been in retreat, causing additional costs and delays. Multiple CBDC arrangements that connect different jurisdictions, meaning different jurisdictions, folks, is meaning different countries around the world or different jurisdictions, in a single common technical infrastructure. Multi-CBDC arrangements that connect, think of connecting the dots, that connect different jurisdictions in a single common technical infrastructure offer significant potential to improve the current system and allow cross-border payments to be immediate and cheap, no more cost effective, no more costly, and universally accessible with final settlement. So they shared a problem with inadequacies, and they shared that there's a solution. It was expensive before, cheap now. Time consuming before, instant now. Now, Zach, I would like for you to read the next paragraph and let's interact, because this next paragraph, folks, listen very carefully, because it's very powerful in telling what the BIS is sharing, and Goldilocks has provided this article. Go ahead, Zach, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. A platform based on a new blockchain.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pause. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
A platform based on a new blockchain, folks. This is why this is the speed and the intensity of the speed and the cost effectiveness on the QFS. Go ahead. A platform.
A platform based on a new blockchain. The mBridge Ledger was built to support real-time peer-to-peer cross-border payments and foreign exchange transactions.
Can you repeat that again, please? I don't think for someone in the last pew, all the way in the back of the church.
You mean way back there in the corner?
Back, yeah, way back in the corner of the church.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. A platform based on a new blockchain. Mm-hmm. The mBridge Ledger, people. The mBridge Ledger was built. It was built now to support real-time. Yes, real-time. Peer-to-peer, like from me to you, cross-border payments. And not only foreign exchange. Keyword, underline that. Foreign exchange transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Please continue.
In 2022, a pilot with real value transactions was conducted.
Okay, pause, if you don't mind. Real value, folks. Transactions. Real value. When you think of assets, whether it's digital currency, paper currency, precious metals such as gold, silver, so forth and so on. In 2022, a pilot with real value transactions. So they tested the system for real value transactions, which also included foreign exchange transactions. Okay, you can continue. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Since then,
Since then, the Enbridge project team has been exploring whether the prototype platform could evolve to become an MVP, a stage now reached.
pause. Thank you. Actually, that's it. We're good. A stage now reached. So we're talking about something, ladies and gentlemen, that has completed. The testing of real value transactions has been completed since 2022. All right. Now, I'm going to skip down to where it says as of June 2024. Zach, I appreciate you, man. You sound like the little me when you was reading. I don't know if that was me or you. I don't know who's
Preaching blockchain, okay?
Right. All right. I appreciate you, young man.
Love you, brother. Thank you, my man.
Much love. All right. We're going to jump down where it says as of June 2024, which is early this month, observing members. This is the 26 observing members that it was referring to. I'm not going to read all those central banks. I'm going to skip down to where the the third from the bottom that participated in this in Enbridge as an observing member, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Okay, so when you think of the Reserve Bank of New York, of course, is one of the 12 branches of our Federal Reserve, which ultimately rolls up to the U.S. Treasury. So the Federal Reserve participated also in Enbridge. They are an observing member of Enbridge as of this month, June 2024. All right. So that is it. I wanted to share that. Jester, you ready? I got to ask Jester if he's ready to.
I see how it is. This whole Enbridge thing's kind of a weird deal anyway. The thing that's kind of I'm trying to figure out, quite frankly, is it's tied. We got the BIS, of course, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the UAE. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, where's everybody else at? When do they come in? What's going on here? You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out.
That'll be where the interconnecting of the payment systems
exactly
all the central banks. Yeah, and also Jester, which you know very well, also with included in that is where all the central banks are all connected through SWIFT, and SWIFT is upgraded to ISO compliance, which is instant settlements.
It's almost like there's all these people. They're all vying for a chance at becoming the reserve currency. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Because we know the UST is going away.
Can you repeat that? You said what is going away?
The dollar.
Right.
USD.
Yep. Exactly. Cool. That's it. Did you want to add anything else before we go to Q&A?
Yes, I did. I had stuff you want to share. Go ahead, brother. I told you I had like a little after the. I hope I don't drag it out to where we can. Man, it's almost like it's 10:20. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to call a timeout and extend the game or something here.
Yes, fine.
or we're not gonna have any Q&A.
Good. We're good. Go ahead and drop what you're gonna drop.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I mean, right now we got 8 minutes of Q&A. That ain't gonna get it done either.
No, we're gonna extend it. Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, very well. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page because I don't want to drag this out and use up all the time.
No, this is our first Saturday night dialogue. This is special. This is a special call, so we can extend it.
Well, so here's the thing that I'm trying to figure out, and this is the thing that I'd like for everybody to try to start getting a handle on, because quite frankly, it's this whole thing goes down. I got so many notes here. Skydancer and I talked this afternoon, and I talked with Red Wolf, and you know what we're looking for. We're looking for that missing part. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know that. I talked to you about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I will go back to the whole. Everybody here doesn't really understand what's going on. And I say that, and I don't mean it bad. It just means you guys don't understand it yet. See, one of the things that Robert and I have figured out is money is not the money you think it is. And so, you know, all this money that was created by the Fed is recreated from thin air. Okay. And for you guys to understand what I'm talking about, you have to understand that it came from nowhere in a series of events that you signed your name to. Okay. In big, you know, and of course, Mason and I talked about that, by the way, you know, quite a bit. But money is not, it's not gold back because it's created out of thin air. And so now you're thinking, okay, now what's he talking about? Because quite frankly, we were promised we'd get gold back currency, right? I mean, the gurus have been telling you that for a long time, right? So you know it's true, right? And so, right? Well, I mean, so, you know, here's where I get back into the whole, you know, I like Jim Willie. I like Jim Willie a lot because I think he's got a handle on this. And so if you think about the difference between, and you touched on it like a second earlier, and the difference between wholesale and retail. Okay. And so, you know, the wholesale being I can put an article over there for you if you want. It's in Jester's place right now if you like. CBDCs come in two forms, okay? This is from the World Economic Forum, and unfortunately, I know everybody loves them so much. Retail and wholesale. So what's the difference, right? The central bank digital currencies come in two main forms, retail and wholesale. A retail CBDC is used by the general public, okay? That's you and me and everybody else in the mainstream system in the United States of America. But the wholesale CBDC is used for transactions between the banks and other financial institutions and cross-border kind of things. So when people say, okay, I'm just going to tell you guys, I think this is where Jim Willie's calling it the Scheisse dollar, okay, is the retail CBDC. The retail currency, the retail whatever, because that's what we're stuck with. We're stuck with that, and it's worth nothing, and it means nothing. The wholesale is where a lot of this other thing is going on. The system is revamping itself in the wholesale arena because we've got to have a way to trade with everybody. And you know, the fact of the matter is that nobody cares what's going on inside the U.S. Not out there, you know. They care about what our currency is going to do internationally. So if you look at the Scheisse dollar, which is what we got, you got a retail dollar in country only, obviously. Now it could be digital back. Don't get me wrong. And you know, when this all comes down, that's what you guys are going to own. And we're trying to figure out now how you're going to get some gold back dollars, okay? And they might not be dollars. I mean, this could be. I loved it when Roger called it the digital critter. You know what I mean? I mean, that's some fun stuff if you think about it for a second, because we have no clue what that's going to be yet. I mean, we don't have a good handle on how our currency gets gold backed, and that's what we're looking right now. Now we think obviously that you know, the USD has something to do with this because they can have gold back. The Fed can't have gold back, guys. The Fed has got to go away. They can't even do it. It can't be done. So assets, gold, whatever, within the Fed, it ain't happening. And if that's where your money resides right now, then that's why Jim Willie's calling it the Shice dollar, because it doesn't mean anything. At some point in time, this is going to turn over, and he even says that, and we're going to go gold backed. China's got gold back yuan, Russia's got gold back ruble. These are wholesale. Okay, that's wholesale end. Well, we're gonna get a wholesale dollar too, but it ain't gonna be the one we put in our wallet. Right. So this whole thing, this USD back stable coin is coming on, in my opinion. I think these digital critters are gonna crawl around and get out of the USD, and that's where our accounts are going to be. Now, whether the banks are the clearinghouse for the USD, which I see, Robert thinks they might get nationalized. I'm not so sure. I think they might be the clearinghouse for the USD, which is nearly the same thing. But why go to the bother of doing all the regulations that Freedom Fighter tells you guys about all the time? These things that are coming and that thing's coming. The bank's doing this and ISO and Basel and this. Why go to all that trouble and not use that infrastructure later? I think you got to pay attention to what is actually happening, and you can see the clues to where it's going. All of that infrastructure is going to be somehow used by the UST, and your digital accounts are going to be residing within a clearinghouse for the UST. So, I don't know. I don't know how much more you want me to freak everybody out, but well, these are that we're trying to figure out here. I mean, we're missing one piece of how do we get the gold back, right? Now, see, everybody out here just assume that's just going to flip over. It cannot happen the way it is, guys. Wrap your heads around this. Something's got to change big. Anyway, cool. I know you're tracking your side. I'm tracking my side. At some point in time, Freedom Fighter, these sides, I mean, you and me are going to come right together, and there's just a couple of pieces missing, and we're right on track. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it seems to be converging.
It does. Literally.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I just want to let everybody know what we're looking for on our side. I mean, here's the thing. You're doing a freaking awesome job, by the way, of tying all this stuff together that you're doing. The Goldilocks, all that business too. And I mean, it's headed that direction, and we see it. We just can't grasp what's going to be the tie-in to the bank accounts that we have our little dollar and pennies and stuff in. Just haven't got there yet.
Excellent. Cool. Appreciate you, young man. You ready for some Q&A?
Everybody out.
You're good, my good brother. Let's jump. We're gonna go to Mongo, then Rachel, then we have LSK, Yvonne C, and Coach. All right, Mongo. I thought I saw your hand up, and I. There you go. Okay, Mongo, you can unmute.
I really didn't have a question. I'm just listening. Thanks.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, though. This is most appreciative.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. And Rachel G, I saw you had your hand up as well, but I don't see you. Are you still here?
LSK.
Okay. All right. LSK, you can unmute. LSK, you can unmute. I should have given you a cue like I do, Jester. You may not be ready. Okay. LSK might not be ready. All right, so we'll go to Yvonne C. It should have been put to the top. Let me go back. There we go. Okay. All right, we'll jump to Felicia. Hey, Felicia, you can unmute. There you go.
Hi, Freedom Fighter. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
All right. My question is, so I didn't really get to hear because you were like kind of talking too fast, but could you explain again the difference between the CDBC and the WDC CDB? I'm sorry,
Right.
my tongue's
Got you.
tied.
Yes. Wholesale. No problem. I'm sorry if I was reading too fast. Wholesale, which is your W, wholesale CBDC, is a bank-to-bank transaction with central bank digital currencies, and that is where we don't have any issues or concerns with privacy, because that is on the retail side of retail CBDCs, which there are privacy issues. Our exchanges, this is very key to understand. Our exchanges are done through wholesale CBDC.
Right.
Okay. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, and then the retail is like the crooked one that they're trying to bring out.
There is a Freedom. I didn't know that me mom did this, but apparently she slapped. I loaded my room up with the articles I wanted to talk about, and one of them is CBDs come in two forms: retail and wholesale. That's in your room over there right now.
Cool.
Sorry.
You said the
I didn't know
crooked
you were doing that, but hey, you know.
Yeah, I called it the crooked one because
she's proactive. You know what I mean?
Months ago they were talking about this, that Congress, one of the senators were saying that they were trying to stop the central bank digital currency because they were going to use it to corrupt the American people and try to use it to steal our money and try to hold our bank accounts and our transactions if we have any kind of political views, or if we're for Trump or for racist or whatever. So that's what we're. Yeah. Yeah. I was reading articles like that. I was like, wait a minute here.
Yeah, that's not where this is going.
Okay.
Yeah, no. That's
Okay.
some blog stuff out there, over exaggerating.
Well, that's the truth.
Fear porn. Yeah,
that's right.
and also a little some of some guru foo-foo.
Guru foo-foo. Yeah. All right, thank you. I understand now. I appreciate all your help. God bless you and Jester. Oh, and Jester, when are you going to start the Republic Room again?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, because we had a slight setback in that we weren't able to escape over at Seeds of Wisdom with our information, unfortunately. And
correct.
So, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to start over to a certain extent, which is really irritating because, quite frankly, we were just getting ready to start some pilot programs for the people that had got all of the homework done and we're ready to move forward.
Right, because I was studying the website and the dictionary and stuff. So yeah, I'm like ready to go too. So
well, we'll have that reinstated with what we've got. Which Beth, would you say half the stuff? Hello, are you on?
Yes.
Are you on the phone with me? But would you say half the stuff is that we've escaped with?
Yes.
All right, I got me mom on the phone with me. Is who I'm talking to.
Okay.
And she says we've escaped with about half the stuff that we had. That was forwarded to that was forwarded back to our Intel hub from Wisdom. So so we've also got a pretty good outline of information that she did, basically transcribing all the calls. So it's not the end of the world, but it's not perfect either. But we're going to be we've got a room set up already, and we just haven't shared up the links and whatnot. And we're just trying to get set up again. I got to get Mason back, and he's had a little too much vacation already. So it is what it is.
Okay, I appreciate it. I thank you all for everything, and God bless you all, and you take care. Thank you.
God bless you. Okay. All right. Felicia, you just raised your hand again. What you doing? All right. LSK, I'm going to try you one more time. Then we're going to go to Coach, and then St. Bernard. I just want to give you a chance, LSK, just in case. If you could unmute. Okay, so I guess you're not ready. So we're going to go to Coach. Coach, you can unmute.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon.
Good. Hey, I've been listening to a lot of different people, and I know that ain't healthy and that's not right. But
Can you repeat that again? Coach,
a lot of different rules.
Coach, I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you just said, the very, very first part, one more time and slow down? Thank you.
I've been listening to a lot of different people because I don't want to go do this wrong or mess up type of way. So I listen to the people, and I've heard something about our dollar that we have now, that it's going to be we'll be able to take it to cash in because it's a reserve note. Is this true?
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I heard your question correctly. You said that you heard that the cash dollar we have now, we'll be able to cash it in because it's a reserve note. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
can you repeat?
Because it's a note. They're saying that it's a note, and it may be worth something.
What is worth something? What
the dollar bill that we hold now? Okay. It's not like the $20 bill or the $5 bill. It's a reserve note. It says it on the dollar bill.
Okay, who you been listening to? Because this is ridiculous. It's $1.
Right.
That's you can go down and buy $1 worth of Coke at the store, $1 hamburger over here. I don't understand the question because, quite frankly, it's worth $1.
Okay. That's why I say I've been listening to too many people.
Yeah, and
did you hear that part?
Yeah, I heard that part, and I was hoping you repeated that part and the part when you said it wasn't healthy.
The reason he was making you repeat it because it was so silly. He was trying to make sure he heard it right.
Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you heard that on a channel or Sesame Street, but I knew which one. But it wasn't healthy.
Right.
But it's all good. Just stick here with us, man, and we'll get you straightened out. We'll get you educated where you need to be to get things right. Don't worry. We all have been there, Coach.
Okay, I appreciate.
Are you a coach for a sport?
Yes, I train all athletes.
Okay. Where are you located?
Texas.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right, we appreciate you, man. Is this your first call with us, or were you?
Yes, sir. First call.
Okay. How did you hear about us?
Friend of mine that was on the call, one of my overseas athletes, told me about you.
Okay. Where's he located overseas?
He was in Europe, but he's here now.
Okay, excellent. Well, we appreciate you, man. And anytime during the week, come to the room in the Goldilocks QFS dialogues. I don't know what your schedule is. If you have any questions, and then also Jester's place, 8 p.m. We're there, and then of course every Saturday we'll be right here for you.
All right, appreciate you so much. You guys have. I will.
Right. Thanks, Coach. All right. St. Bernard, if you can unmute.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
My question is, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but the central banks fall under the Rockefellers. And my understanding is that that's a total corrupt entity. And I don't know if that's true or not. I just wonder if you could clarify that.
I could, but Jester is probably way even better. I love the way he communicates this topic. Go ahead, Jester.
Well, okay, he's right to a certain extent for some of them, but not all of them. Central banks are country banks, okay? And not all countries have the Rockefellers sucked up tight into the back of them.
Right.
So just because a country has a central bank, Russia, for instance, I guarantee you that they threw the Rothschilds out years ago, okay?
Mm-hmm.
China, same thing. And so there's a lot of countries out there that have divested themselves from the control of that BS. Unfortunately, the U.S. isn't one of them.
How?
So, I mean, yeah, the Rockefellers are a pain in the butt, and that's what we're looking at trying to deal with right now. That's why the Fed needs to go. The Fed's the central bank. You see, there's bills on the floor right now to get rid of the Fed.
Okay.
Have I got your question answered, or do you have
Yes, sir.
more? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem.
You're
Good deal.
welcome.
Good question, by the way. And I think it's important for everybody to note that part of the issue is that there are still Rockefeller banks in the UE and here and some other countries. And that's what the fight's all about, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's getting rid of those guys. That's what the fight's all about.
Right. And large in part with the new financial system, we're being decentralized, and through the blockchain and the QFS is large in part to eliminate the control and influence of the central banks. So that's a big help in itself as well, along with, like you mentioned, Jester, about the legislation to abolish the Federal Reserve, and then also with the nationalization of the Federal Reserve and actually being rolled up to the U.S. Treasury, that is a big help as well in that process. So, is any more questions? Feel free to raise your hand. We're 15 minutes over, but this is our first Saturday night dialogue, so we kind of went over a little bit. Any more questions? Feel free to raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. That's it. That's it. Are we good? So, Jester, we only went 15 minutes over, my good brother.
I don't know how we do that, man. I'm proud for us.
Hey, y'all. So we got 15 minutes. If you want, feel free to jump over into Jester's place. We'll drop the link. Lady E, if you don't mind, my beautiful lady, if you can drop Jester's room link one more time in the room, we can jump on over there and have some fun. So this concludes tonight's call.
Hey, I have something. I got an idea for you too, by the way. I meant to say something earlier, and I apologize for dragging this out. So, I was thinking about the name for this call. So I was, we used to be called the Saturday Night Live call, right?
Right.
And so, since we wanted to be a little different from what we were doing before, we come up with this name here, the dialogue call. But I don't know. It's not blowing my skirt up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's strategic to the name of the room, the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues, name of the room, Goldilocks QFS.
Goldilocks. Ask Goldilocks if she likes Kiss.
Oh my God!
Because back in the day, when everybody was doing, live albums, Kiss came out with Alive. Remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we're alive. I'm just telling you. That's what I think. Ask Goldilocks what they think. Huh?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Saturday Night Alive. I don't know. It kind of grabs me. You know what I mean? Let's take a vote.
Awesome.
Don't you feel more alive than you did before? Is this not a breath of fresh air? What we're doing here versus what we were doing before? Not to say I'm not trying to put nobody down, but I just feel better. I don't know about you.
I do. I feel way better. Oh yes, 1,000%. 1,000% better. A lot more peace of mind. And
that's the truth right there now.
Yeah.
All right, well, think about it.
All right, cool. We got 12 minutes to get into for your room, man. Let's jump on over there.
I'm gonna go over there and be alive.
All right. All right, folks. Everyone have a good night. We love you, and we'll see you soon. See you next Saturday.
See you, big guy. I'll call you tomorrow.